Hi, I am Marco Rudy, an artist, storyteller, known for the Winter Soldier, Spiderman, Swamp Thing, my creator on RDW, and you are listening to the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Marco Rudy as he previews his creative exhibition plans for New York Comic Con 2024. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, and YouTube Video. So please follow and subscribe to the podcast and video feed of your choosing. New York Comic Con is the United States East Coast's largest pop culture convention, and the only one that takes place in the comic book, publishing, media, and licensing capital of the world, New York City. From meeting celebrities to surprise appearances, to the top anime, cosplay, and gaming stars, and of course comic book creators from every corner of the globe, it's got a little something for everyone to enjoy. Marco Rudy is a Mozambican-born Canadian creator, comic book illustrator, painter, and offbeat storyteller. Marco has been working in the comics industry for the better part of 15 years, with longer tenures at DC with Swamp Thing, Action Comics, The Shield, and Marvel with Marvel Knights, Spiderman, Bucky Barnes, The Winter Soldier, Avengers, and Uncanny X, among others. His most recent work is entitled RDW. Currently available for sale, RDW is described as a tale about coping with the burden of command, the camaraderie and friendship found in times of war, and the consequences of failure. Astrid's first steps into loss, addiction, withdrawal, and PTSD are just the beginning of this hand-painted, visually striking voyage. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Marco Rudy as he previews his creative exhibition plans for New York Comic Con 2024. So, Marco Rudy, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. I know that you're busy with a lot of conventions and festivals and everything going on these days, but before I get going with all the questions, I would like to know, what are you reading today?
Actually, I just finished reading Burning Chrome by William Gibson. I've been going on for the past, I think the whole year, been going on kind of a cyberpunk reading thing. So I reread the Neuromancer trilogy. I read Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. Found a bunch of other older and more recent cyberpunk style books. And I'm going to take a break because tomorrow I'm going to start reading a combo of Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World and Orwell's 1984.
Now, getting back to the cyberpunk, is that in sort of research you're doing for a future project, or is it just for fun?
In a way, and this kind of relates to my creator-owned book, graphic novel that I did. I have a series of graphic novels that pertain to a specific story. The book is fantasy related, but a lot of the themes that I discussed, they're very informed by cyberpunk. And I'm essentially going to the well and see what else I can fish in addressing world building, storytelling, stuff that people that are much better than I am at doing these things, doing some research, and also enjoying them. Because up till now, with the exception of like bande dessinée and comics, I've never read a lot of cyberpunk with the exception of Neuromancer. I didn't even know it was a trilogy up till last year. So I bought the second and third books, I read them, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. What spurred this was also a little rewatching Altered Carbon and finding out that it's based on a series of books. And so I searched for Richard Morgan's books. So they are some of the more recent cyberpunk books that I've acquired. So I'm going through history. Once I'm done with the 1984 and Brave New World, I'm going to go to another Gibson's trilogy, some Neil Stephenson stuff, and finally arrive at Richard Morgan stuff. There's actually, I bought other authors that are more recent as well. Some of them are actually discussing the current reality of AI. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And I applaud you for having the time to read it.
I make a
That's tough.
point. I make a point to take like 40 minutes of my day to read as much as I can. And on the weekend, I read either a graphic novel or a like a chapter, if it's a long graphic novel, a chapter, or like a trade. So, like in the weekends, I have been reading The Doctor Strange by Trad Moore. I forget the title. It's in front of me. Anyways, and I had just finished reading Coda, which I think is an amazing, amazing, amazing book.
Very good. Well, I applaud you for having the time to do it and having the regiment. That's two. So we're talking here because you're going to be at New York Comic Con. So with that in mind, I wanted to ask you, what will you be showing at your table?
Well, essentially, I'll have original artwork from my past works. I'll be able to do commissions. All of them are 9x12 because I need to optimize my time. I'm a slow painter, so I need to. Every piece is 9x12, but it depends on if it's a full character or if it's a head sketch or something like that. And talking to people, having fun, meeting friends. Essentially, that I go to the New York show. It's almost always like an unknown. Because I go thinking, all right, last year was good, this year's going to be good, and it's terrible. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, last year was horrible, and definitely nothing's going to happen. And then it turns out that it's a good show. The last year, up until the very last 2 hours of that I was there for the show, I had to leave because of my flight was at 6, so I left at 4. Up until 3, I had made very little money. Like when I say very little, under $100. And in a span of 45 minutes, it was one of the best shows I've ever done.
Wow.
So you never know.
That's true. That's true. So what, beyond making sales and, that's the business of being there and being an artist and creator. Beyond that, what are the elements of the show that make it a positive experience for you?
Every show for me, it's a good experience to talk to fans. New York, and Heroes that have, in terms of Artist Alley, Artist Alley is the whole thing. But I think the Artist Alley at New York is vast. So it's an opportunity to rub elbows with people that are not only superstars, but people that you admire. And randomly finding out that not only do they know who you are, some of the things that you do, they like it. So that's always, for me, it's always a good time to go talk to these people. I understand that is also a good vehicle for networking and business. But to be honest, I always go there because I want to see, I don't know, talk to Bill Sienkiewicz. Like, talk to people that I'm a big fan and just go,
Sure.
hey, man, big fan of your work. See them doing their craft and see what else I can, that can inspire me to do. So I am curious to do that. It's a good thing when you're busy, because it means that, like, it's a good thing when you can't get out of your table because you're busy. That's a good thing. But on the other hand, it leaves you less time to go walk about and talk to these people, which then leaves nighttime, and you have to, because everybody goes to whatever place, so you have to coordinate who exactly do you want to talk to, when, and how.
Right.
So yeah.
That's tricky.
Yeah.
There you go. What about New York City? I mean, it's very different from Montreal and Canada for certain. What is it you like most about New York City?
Honestly, essentially, since I moved away from the big, I mean, I live in the middle of the woods now, like completely away from the speed of big city. I find New York, frankly, overwhelming, especially because I'm so far away from it. I literally live. There's just woods around it. There's just trees, and then you go to a forest of concrete and advertisement and people and cars. I find it loud, but at the same time, one of my favorite things about New York is that, irrespective of where you are, you can find like this nice little hole in the wall that has nice music, that has nice food, that opened last week. It probably will close 2 weeks from now.
Right.
But there's this opportunity, and it's some weird ass culture that you haven't even considered, that is just right there and is awesome, and everybody's having a good time. So I like that New York offers that kind of opportunity to find those hidden places that are essentially just like a good time in the skies.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You hinted before, and I don't know if you can say too much about it, about your next project that you're working on. Is there something that you can talk about, or is it still under wraps
Um,
for the time being?
it's we'll have to see. By contract, let's just say it that way, because
Hmm.
you never know what happens tomorrow. But
Right.
by contract, I am involved with a character that is very well known for the remainder of this year and potentially the whole of next year.
Nice.
It's neither Marvel nor DC, but
Hmm.
it's a very, very, very well-known character, and I can't say more because
Okay.
anything else is a spoiler.
Well, let's not do that.
Yeah,
Something to look forward to, that's for sure.
yeah, movies were made about this one character.
Ah, okay. Say no more. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about New York Comic Con. Do you have any other festivals or conventions coming up beyond that, or is this pretty much the end of this year for you doing stuff?
Barring a surprise, my only next show is actually online. It's Comic Art Fans live online in November. I
Oh,
think it's the 13th or the 14th. They have one in April and one toward the tail end of the year, which is in the middle of November. And the next like physical show is me traveling to the same thing. Actually, it's the OAX, which is Comic Art Fans. They call it Original Arts Extra, I think, or
okay.
Original Artist Extra, or something like that. No, it's Original Arts Extra, and it's middle of January in Florida. But
A lot
that's like
warmer.
next year. As I said, barring any surprises, New York is the last one I'm traveling to. The rest is I'll do this show online, which it's a show like you have to have. Like, if you want to buy stuff, you have to have an account at
Hmm. Hmm.
Comic Art Fans. I strongly recommend it because it's the place where it's like the best interaction between a creator and like artist and collector. It's a
Oh,
direct interaction between artist and collector. 2 days of that, and that's I think it's a very good thing.
that sounds like it for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you a question that's completely out of left field. We're hearing about in the news today that artificial intelligence is pretty much everywhere. So I want to get your thoughts on AI being used, I guess generative AI being used to create art for comic books and graphic novels. What are your thoughts on that?
I would prefix by saying that I am very against it. If you're a fan of AI created anything, this is your cue to just go away. Or better yet, listen. Because AI generative art, it's not art, it's not creating anything. There's no newness coming out of AI generated anything. It's all a regurgitation of something that was done by somebody else, and it's synthesized and it's bastardized by your cute little prompts, and something comes out of it. You're not creating anything by using AI generative software. Like I've said this before, art, any type of expressive art, like any type of art, is the expression of the human experience. We, good, bad, laughing, comedy, horror, comic books, theater, pottery, like anything, is the ultimate expression of humanity. And using AI to try to distill the quintessentiality of humanity doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's not art. So yeah, I hate it.
Okay.
I think that a bunch of opportunists are latching on to this thing because it's the new it thing. It's the new, honestly, the new scam thing that scams people out of their money. For instance, I love that it's been ruled into law that you can't copyright productions, any type of quote unquote art that is made using AI. Amazing. So not only is it not art in the general way of making art, it is now lawfully not art. It's nothing. It's trash. So there's not even a point. And it is astonishing how big companies, when I say big companies, like all of them, from video games to comics to cinema to music to anybody, they're latching onto this and trying to put a wool over your eyes. Oh no, there's ones that go, no, it's not AI. It's just tooled a little bit. And others like, oh no, this is the future. Why? Because they want to capitalize. They want to optimize profits without using the least amount of expenses. So why pay an expensive artist when you can prompt this, and that, and vomit something and sell it? Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Right.
Essentially, that's it. I'm not a fan.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
well said, and definitely, I hear what you're saying. So
Yeah.
hopefully, someone will come to their senses and turn this thing around.
Yep.
But for the time being, we'll just have to.
And the thing is, there is a way of using it as a tool for your own recreation, for your own improvement, for like an artist that tries to reshape their own art. That's something. But scraping somebody else's art, I mean, the alternative is this. Okay, let's just say that they start incorporating AI art in everything. Identify every piece of art that you're scraping off. Pay them a percentage of your revenue from the quote-unquote art that you generated. Credit them and pay them. Oh yeah, that we can do. I'm still not a fan. It's still not artwork,
Right.
but it's something.
Something, yeah. Yeah.
Like DJs, they can make mixes and remixes and whatnot, and you will look, oh yeah, this is a remix of this. This uses this sample, this, and that. Yeah, do that. Ask authorization and pay to do it.
Well, let's talk about something more positive, and that's about you. Where can people find out more about you online, about your current and your future projects?
If social media allows you to see, because it's a algorithm mess now, I use Facebook. I use the meta stuff, Facebook and Instagram, and I use Twitter. I'm not gonna say X. I use Twitter. But very rarely do I post any artwork in them because both of these companies are now using tools to scrape off all of your information to use on their programming their own AI for the applications, which is horrible. Thankfully, there are tools that artists can use for their artwork that would not only jam their scraping of your own artwork, they actually would poison the artwork that the people want to scrape off of yours. So I use Glaze. And there's another one as well. And these are tools that are for artists to use to protect their own artwork, essentially. And so when I post, the stuff that I post on social media is like artwork that I post on social media is essentially art that I ran through this tool. It's protected. I can post it. Whomever tries to scrape it, good luck with that. And it's Marco Rudy, all of them. It's at Marco Rudy. It's Marco Rudy. There's no, if you find a different one, it's not me. So that's where you find me. I do have a website and Patreon where I upload process from my creator-owned book, which is taking a little longer because I'm essentially doing this gig with this character that is paying the bills and getting some eyes on me back again on interior artwork, because for the longest period I've been doing just covers and working more strictly on my, like interiors wise, working on my creator own. But this opportunity came about, and honestly, there are other logs in the fire for other collaborations with other potentially famous characters and creator owned stuff with other creators. So let's see what happens in that. Essentially, right now, you will find me posting about like what I'm doing currently.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
Honestly, yeah. This might not make me a lot of friends, but Nina Simone, there's an interview with Nina Simone where it's around the civil rights, the civil rights movement, where she's asked, are you not afraid that you making your voice heard for the civil rights movement is gonna stain your career, is gonna you're gonna go to prison, stuff like that? And I'm not saying exactly what she said, but it's something akin to, as an artist, I have a responsibility to use my art to make the voice of the oppressed heard. I'm trying to do that. And I need our community to be more vocal about the injustices going around everywhere, because we have this cheat code artists, creators, we have this cheat code that not a lot of people have, which is not only the talent, but the drive to tell stories. I think it's our responsibility to use that cheat code to highlight the injustices and not only the positive things around us, the bad things as well, put them to the fore. And I feel that we are not doing enough. We need to do more and more and more. So part of my creator-owned book all of it is about taking conscience about what's happening around us. That's what I had to say.
Thanks to Marco for the chat. You can discover more about Marco on Instagram at instagram.com/Marco Rudy. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button, so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, and YouTube Video. So please follow and subscribe to the podcast and video feed of your choosing. You can follow along at True North Country Comics on most social media sites, and you can send any and all feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2024.